Hello, hello. Welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I'm just checking the counter to make sure that it's still working because I was having problems going live the other day. So you may see my eyes going over there on occasion. I wanted to welcome you. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. My business is Stamping with Hart. And today we are going to be making some nature themed cards. Here they are. I was messing with my lighting. I cannot get it right. And I think it's because my blinds are open. So I apologize about that. But when we go down to the table, it'll look better. Here's the other one. This is the You Truly Inspire Me. And here is the stamp set that I'm talking about. So when we go down to the table, I'm going to get into this a little bit. I have been playing with this stamp set a lot. I love this stamp set. I really love it. And I haven't even scratched the surface. I went a little crazy with the colors when I was playing with the trees because I don't know if you're like me. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite season is. My favorite season is fall. So I was playing both with the larger tree shape and then also doubling up on the branches. So that's what you're seeing here. And I'll show you the difference with and without. But this is Bumblebee and Cajun Craze, and that was full color. And this is the same thing, but Cajun Craze is stamped off once, and this one ended up being my favorite. And then this is Bumblebee only, and it's one stamp, and it looks like two colors. So it's such a cool stamp set. And these are all two stamped branches here. And then we also have these. I have to re-ink my pumpkin pie is what I discovered when I was doing these, but you can still get an idea here. So this is only Cajun Craze, only Mary Merlot, pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze stamped off once, and then pumpkin pie and Cajun Craze in full color. And then if you look here, this is the single tree trunk stamp. So that's this one here. So just stamped once. And then this is what it looks like when you stamp it twice. And if you look super close, you can see I actually didn't have the trunk properly lined up here. But if you're focused on the bigger tree and you want to see a little more branches, you can still do that. Like I thought it really looked pretty good, you know, even with the double stamp. For me, I just wanted to see more because we also have that shorter tree. This one here that could either be a tree or a bush. And I think that this, like, it almost looks like a triangle, right? It like lined up to this perfectly, but for this one, I just felt like I needed more branches. And it's just because of a lot of what I've been seeing around here. So that's what I did with these cards, and we'll make it again today. But I had so much fun with these colors, and then I'll show you where I started to go wrong. So this is Granny Apple Green. And this is just the individual colors. So Granny Apple Green, and then Old Olive, and Evening Evergreen. This combo here on this card, I ended up doing Granny Apple Green and Evening Evergreen, which, I mean, those are like two completely different ends of the spectrum with the greens. And I actually really like the way that the layered looked, like how it looked on the card. But you could also do Granny Apple and Old Olive. And then here were the ones that I thought looked a little bit crazy. And these were Cherry Cobbler and Granny Apple Green. So I'm sure there's a way to do this right, but I was getting a little off track there. And then I did even a little bit of Blackberry Bliss just to see what that looked like. And I was trying to mix in that Evening Evergreen with it, and it totally was just not working. So some of my inks definitely need to be re-inked, but for the most part, for like my summer trees, I really loved how this turned out. I thought these looked like really lush. And that is the Granny Apple Green with the Evening Evergreen. So those are the tree colors that we're going to use today. And it was the same color on both trees. And then this is Granny Apple Green down here with this, and then also with the card base. So for the tree part, it's pretty simple. We kept a simple theme. So this is Bumblebee cardstock. This is Granny Apple Green. And then I did pull in some of the Designer Series paper. Let me get my little tree colors out of the way. I'll take pictures of those charts so that you guys can see, but I know you're going to have just as much fun doing the color experimentation as I did. So my little layering piece for the Designer Series paper, I really loved this bark looking paper here. And I did keep the bark going like up and down, so vertically versus horizontally. And then I'll go over the measurements with you too. So we have our basic white layer where we did our stamping. We're going to be using Balmy Blue for the sky and the clouds. And then on this one, this is actually So Saffron. And then of course, our colors I just went over. And then this is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then the bark layer, our Designer Series paper layer, is actually going to be a 1/4 inch up from that. So 4 by 5, I believe, 4 by 5 1/4. And then the actual card base itself is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, like the whole length, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will recreate these cards. And just to show you, because I did want to show this quickly before I forget, there is a blue, here it is. So if you don't want to do any stenciling or anything and you just want to stamp your trees down, this is a really pretty sky Designer Series paper piece that comes with this particular Designer Series paper that matches. I'm trying to remember specifically what the name of the paper was, but so it's the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. And this is the one that I think would make a really pretty sky background if you would want to do your stamping directly on top of that. This is the one we're going to be using for our layering. So we're going to need Balmy Blue. Oh, Soft Suede is what I was using for the tree base. So those colors. All right. And I'm going to leave the So Saffron out too. That's for our fall tree, which we'll do later. I won't drive everybody crazy with the fall projects already, even though I could start working on fall tomorrow. Okay. But I was really into Cajun Craze was probably my favorite color for the fall trees. All right. So we're going to do just a little bit of cutting. Gotta get my paper trimmer out. I need to change out my blade, so don't mind me. I've really been giving this thing a workout. So we're going to make our 2 card bases first. So I'm going to get my Bumblebee and I'm going to get a piece of the Granny Apple Green at the same time. We'll just do this all at once. Okay. All right, so we're going to go to 8 1/2. And this is like my standard go-to card size. I'll have to make some fun, fancier cards with these too. Okay, and then we're going to go to 5 1/2. And I'm going to score at 4 1/4. All right, so I'm just going to leave that one there. And we're going to do literally the same thing. So do our 8 1/2, 5 1/2. We're going to score at 4 1/4, and this time, there we go. I've really been loving the Granny Apple Green. I should have made my brand color, the color that's on my name, the Granny Apple Green. Okay. I haven't done a blog post on this yet, but I'll get a blog post up with these too, so that you guys can see the pictures and the charts and all of that. So while I'm thinking about it, let me just put the banner up real quick. So this is the blog, stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. I know that is a mouthful. Okay, and our next part, I'm going to do our layers. So we're going to cut this one to 4. Was it 4? Yeah. I hope so. I don't have my, well, we're going to find out. I'll tell you guys why I did it this way too. So we'll go to 4 by 5 1/4. Same thing. 5 1/4. I ended up using the same layer for both cards. I just really like the look of it. These will be great for like Father's Day cards too. If you guys are looking for Father's Day card ideas, I'm actually working on something now with the letters from the Playful Alphabet. If you guys have the Playful Alphabet. So that's actually what I'm working on designing now. But one of the great things about this stamp set, and I know you guys, I'm totally having a squirrel moment, but what I wanted to say was the sentiments on this are actually going to be really nice for if you are doing something for Father's Day or with a theme and you want to customize it. I tend to customize a lot of what I do. You can say, thank you, Dad. You truly inspire me, Dad, or Father, or Grandpa, or, you know, whatever that is. Hello, Dad. I believe in you, Dad. Thinking of you, Dad. You know, these are all going to go. And then the other script. So I don't know if you guys saw my Mother's Day card, but I used the Wish for Everything or the Word Wish dies. And there's a Happy Father's Day sentiment in the dies that you can cut out. And there's also a stamp that says Father. And you could also coordinate those with this. The fonts would actually blend perfectly with these sentiments. So I really wanted to mention that to you guys, even though I don't have a specific Father's Day card today. I am working on those because I think that this stamp set is going to go a long way. I think it's also going to go really beautifully with our mountain bundle that or the mountain stamp set. I can't remember what it's called. I'll have to look it up. Okay, so these right now are cut to 4 inches, but we're going to trim it down to 3 3/4 once we do our stenciling. So, and I'll show you why. So you guys, you may or may not know that I am way behind on Paper Pumpkin. But I did get the stencils out and I did get to take a look at the stencils for this kit. So this was the, hold on, I have to unwrap it real quick. Oh my goodness. All right. Whew. Would have been a lot easier with my scissors. Okay, so this is the Here's to You, the March 2021 Paper Pumpkin kit. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to make anything with this yet, but what I do want to work with today, and again, here's a really cool stamp set that you could probably, if you have this, you could probably combine this with the stamp set we're working with today. I'm not going to be fully focused, but these are the 2 things I wanted to mention. So every March they come out with like an extra goodie that comes in the Paper Pumpkin kit, and they came out with the stencils and this sponge. So I cut the sponge up into 4/4, and that's what we're going to be using today. But whatever you prefer using, you could definitely use. I just wanted to show you where mine came from. The sponges are also available for purchase in the catalog. So here are the stencils. There's a cloud stencil. There is the sun stencil, stars, and then mountain terrain. Okay, and you could do like just different layering and versions. I've seen so many fabulous projects that people made with this. The two we're going to be using today are the sun and the clouds. But if you guys have other, stencils that are similar, then you could certainly use those. I know some people are getting really into using the blending brushes. That's this guy right here. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I struggle with these a little bit. It's new to me and I'm really just not used to using it. They're very top heavy. So I can't say that my blending with this is seamless. I definitely prefer the little, the sponges like this. And I also like the fingertip sponges, the sponge daubers. And those are the ones that my son likes the best. But just so that you know where these are coming from. So if you have that, paper pumpkin kit, then you have these stencils. If not, I know many of us have stencils on hand from other kits or different things like that. So we'll start with the clouds. So what I noticed was this little frame right here, when I started doing, and you'll see when I start sponging it on. So let me get out the balmy blue. Okay, so when I got out the balmy blue, it like frames it. And I didn't really want to see the frame. I wanted it to look seamless. So I could either stay away from these corners or just trim it down a little. So it ended up, trimming it down to 3 3/4 worked fine. So I'm just going to do the same thing here just so that you guys can kind of see what I did. Or you could just cut it 3 3/4 to start and do it that way. So with the sponge, you don't need a lot of ink at all. And then I'm just going to dab off on the paper here. And then I'm just going to hold this down. Now, this is a little bit dangerous. You should probably tape it down, but that would just be too perfect of me. So I'm just going to repeat this process of going into the ink, dabbing off, and then if I make a mistake, we'll just flip it over. Okay. Just really lightly. Okay, so you can see it's like a little too light. So we're going to go and we're going to layer again down a little further. Let's see how this one looks. That looks a lot better. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of move this off to the side a little bit just to change the pattern. And I'm just kind of going down the card a little. I'll show you on my card sample where I messed up too. Okay. And I'm just moving it over to the other side. We're just going to do the same thing. Okay. And then you could, do the reverse side too, if you want to adjust the way that your clouds look. So let me show you how far down I went on the card here. So I went all the way, probably down to about 1/4 of the tree. So you can see here, I didn't line that up properly, and I kind of had a little boo-boo there, but I mean, it's not a big deal, but I noticed it. So I just wanted to mention that because depending on how you're, doing your clouds, especially if you're going side to side like I am, just be careful of that corner. The other option, of course, is just snip off the frame, and you don't even have to worry about it. I thought about cutting it off, and then I was like, I'll just wait. I have another set of stencils floating around out there. So I'm just going to go down a little bit further. when I am sponging, I tend to be either too heavy-handed or too light-handed. I feel like I have the most control with the fingertip sponge. Okay. And I'm just trying to line this up with one of the cloud lines here to finish that. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So we'll do our next steps, which will be the tree, or the tree trunk rather. So with the tree trunk, and where did I put my little stamp? Let me show you this little stamp here. So there's like a little mound here, and I use that stamp here for the tree. So when we stamp our tree trunk, we're actually going to stamp it up just a little bit so that we can stamp our mound at the bottom. We could even stamp the mound first. Let's see. Let's check it out. I'm going to get one of my smaller blocks here. Here's my little guy. Here he is. All right. And I use Granny Apple Green for the mound. Okay. So let's just say the tree is off. Oh, did I just get ink on that? No. Wow, that was amazing. Okay, good save. So we're going to do our mound. So if you think like 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do like the second one in so that the tree can be off to the side. Okay. I think I actually have 2. We'll do the bottom first because it's going to bother me now. Oh, gosh. Okay, so just going across. And then these little white spots here, I'm just going to do a little extra stamping to close that up. All right. All right, and then we'll do our, I'm going to leave this open because I'm going to be using it again in a second, but let's get our soft suede out. Okay, and we're going to do our tree trunk. So this is a double stamped tree trunk. So I'll show you how I did that. So we're going to ink the full stamp the first time. Okay, and then the second time that we do this, I'm only going to ink we're only going to ink the branches. Okay. So let me I'm going to clean this off just to be safe so that we don't do any double stamping here. So the second time we're just going to ink up the branches. And of course, you don't have to do this if you're fine with this, with the big tree. That's cool. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to line up that center vein. And I'm just going to have some of these branches overlap a little and then some come down a little bit more. And then another way to frame this out is you could take a look at what that bigger tree is going to look like over it, like just from a positioning standpoint. I've done this a couple of times now. So let me just see if I can line that up. Okay, so I really like that. I really like the longer branches. I'm seeing some more comments. I'm sorry, you guys, I wasn't looking. Okay, I know Granny Apple is so cool. Hi, Mary. Hey, Susan. Oh, I'm so glad to have you guys here. So the next step will be our Granny Apple Green is going to be our base layer for the tree. So just depending on how many blocks you guys have, the way that I was doing this, the one that has like the full color on it, this is the base stamp. And then this is the detail stamp. So this is going to be the Evening Evergreen side, and this is going to be the Granny Apple Green side. This happened when I was doing like the cherry cobbler and everything. So we're going to get Granny Apple Green again. Just going to ink that up. Thanks so much, Mary. That's so sweet. Okay, so here we go. I hope I cleaned that. I'm in trouble if I didn't. We're going to find out. All right, here we go. So I'm just lining this up with the tip of the branch at the top with the branches that fall down like there towards the bottom. I don't want to say fall, but like sit lower. So if you can kind of see that there, it goes from like the branches down here to the tip. Oh, good. I did clean it. So this is what it looks like if you don't add anything else. And I mean, even that is fabulous, right? So let me just stamp the sentiment so that you guys can get a look of what it would look like without that extra layer. And we're going to do the You Truly Inspire Me. I also used Granny Apple Green for this. And we're just going to line it up down here, close to the grass. Okay. All right. So that's what it would look like if you just wanted to do the one stamp. And this is great for the simple stamping. So if you have people who are stamping with you who are a little intimidated, it's going to make them look like they have two different colors with one stamp. So that's one of the reasons why I love this stamp set so much. But we are going to add the Evening Evergreen. So I'm going to close this one now. And where did I put it? Here it is. Okay. So here is our Evening Evergreen. And this is a stark contrast. So if you guys wanted to do Old Olive or Garden Green or something like that, you could. I just went for it. Okay, so this is block E that I kind of did the opposite. It was just easier because I was working with these so much. All right, and then I'm just going to line this up too. So bear with me a sec. I'm going to stand up here. Let's see. I mean, I just love that. I just love everything about it. I just think it looks so good. So that's the big tree, okay? And then I'm just going to trim this down to 3 3/4, and then we'll start layering our card together. The great thing about the glue is you can reposition. Okay. And it's so affordable. All right. So there's our first card. Okay. So here is our little sunshine. Same thing. I'm just going to kind of hold on to the stencil, but I highly recommend taping it down. I'm not sure why I'm not taping mine down. All right. So I'm just going to get my So Saffron, and then we'll get going with our sun. And this one moves a little, so I'm going to dab more than I'm going to rub. Okay, so here we go. And it's okay if you have the little edges down here like I do, because your trees are going to cover that up. So with this card, let me get the original so we can take a look at it. Okay. And I actually messed up this card too, and I'll show you how. I like triple stamped the evening evergreen here, and it got really dark on this side. But so here, the tree trunk, we're going to do the double for this one, and this one, we're going to do the double tree trunk. We're going to do a single for the middle, and we won't see the bottom. So we can just kind of fill it up. So we're going to have the 2 bigger trees and then our smaller tree. I'll start with the middle. I'm just going to set that over to the side so this looks a little more centered for you. Okay, so here's our first one. And again, this is like, you could stop there. All right. And I'm going to go here. Now you guys can see I have a little bit of color missing on the bottom. So I'm just going to reverse the stamp here so that I can get a little more flush and get that color in there. There's a little bit of overlap, but you really won't notice with that evening evergreen layer. Okay, and so we're going to do the same thing. So go up here. And if you would want to leave a little space with the tree trunks, you could do that too, but I wanted it to look like a really dense forest. Okay. And then we're going to do our, well, it's on the same thing. So it's the color I need to switch out. So we'll do our evening evergreen now for our top layer. And this is how I ended up doing so much like double stamping. So just going to get that top one. We'll do the middle, the other side, and then we'll finish out the bottoms. Okay, oops, I missed some color there. We'll fix it. It's because I'm sitting. I really shouldn't be sitting. Okay. All right. And so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to reverse my stamp so that we're looking at the bottom of the tree now. And we're just going to go in, get a little bit of extra color going in these areas. Now here, actually, what I want to do, just because I missed the center, so you can see like it's really just right in here, I'm going to do the tip there. Kind of like fitting a puzzle piece. And then we'll do this other corner here, and I'm going to do my flat side again. Okay, and that's how we got our super lush trees. Isn't that cool? I love this stamp set, you guys. I love it so much. Okay, so now let's take a look at the original. So for this, you can either just like cut in a simple banner using your extra basic white pieces that you have left, like when you're trimming out your papers. I really like to use the Pick a Banner punch, and it's the smallest size. It's the 1/4 inch size. So your I Believe in You will still fit on that. So it basically goes to it's a 1/2 inch. So 1/2, 3/4 inches, and 1 inch are the sizes. So let me correct myself there. It's that inner piece. And I have some floating around here. So, and this is what the other one looks like. So I ended up using the banner that goes in, but you could also use the banner that goes out, just depending on which one that you would want to cut. So let me see. It's not exact, like it's not sliding in perfectly, but it doesn't have to. And it's because I measure everything from the back. But it's totally up to you. So if you want to cut it down to that exact measurement, always cut it to you want to be able to see the 1/2 inch mark on your measuring tool, like on your paper trimmer, if you want it to fit inside those grooves. For me, just because I tend to be a little impatient with things when I'm working on that stuff, I will just kind of fudge it a little bit. So you'll see what I mean. But let's take our Granny Apple Green. All right, let's try again. There we go. All right, second try. So we're going to trim off this extra and then we'll cut in our little banner piece. You could just cut a bunch of the banners. So many of the stamps in this set are like that same size. They'll all fit within that 1/2 inch or the 3/4 inch even. So you could just cut an entire strip and just stamp all along the strip and then just do your banner edges. I'm going to trim this one. I'm going to go right to the edge here since I didn't leave myself a ton of room. To be honest with you, I might actually have to do this from the other side. Maybe we will, because I didn't leave myself enough room on this side. So what I mean when I say I turn it upside down is we're going to use this banner one. Even though it's not lining up perfectly in the grooves, I'm still going to feed it in. I wanted to hit the silver piece on the back, and I just, with my finger, am going to make it look even, like in between the two banners there. And once I get it to that position that I like, I am just going to cut it. So even though it's not perfect, and that was a little bit uneven. Let me do it again. I'm doing it again. That may be better or worse. Let's see. Definitely better. Okay, so we'll just go from the other side on this one since I didn't leave myself enough room. And let's just see what that looks like. Okay, so what we'll do is it will overlap on the layer, our little bark layer. So it'll just come out a little bit, but it looks just as good, right? So just depending on if you're a righty or a lefty, whichever side you want your sentiment to come in on, it should be totally fine. So now that I have this layering piece here, I'm just going to trim off these edges. So I would say like 1/3 of the way up from the bottom of the card. And here we go. So my basic white pieces on the inside would just be same thing, 4 inches by 5 1/4. When I'm using these cards myself, I tend to write books. When I'm sending cards to people, I just write all kinds of stuff in there. But if you want to do your sentiments in there, you could do that too. And here we go. So those are our cards.